Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma and with me is Nishit Kumar bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. 7th edition of Raisina Dialogue to be inaugurated by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. European Union President Ursula von der Leyen to be the chief guest at the event. Prime Minister Modi highlights India's contribution in the field of mathematics during the Mann Ki Baat program, emphasizes on learning Vedic maths. China's capital, Beijing, goes on high alert after the emergence of clusters of COVID-19. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds talks with his Argentinian counterpart Santiago Cafiero in New Delhi. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to visit the Ukrainian capital Kiev. In France, voting underway in the presidential runoff. In sports, India's Deepak Punia wins 86 kg men's freestyle silver medal, while Vicky clinches bronze in 92 kg on the final day of the Asian Wrestling Championships in Ulaanbaatar. And in the Indian Premier League, Lucknow Super Giants set a victory target of 169 runs before Mumbai Indians at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the 7th edition of the Raisina Dialogue on Monday. President of the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, will be the chief guest in the dialogue. We have a report.
Several former prime ministers of different countries and other dignitaries will also participate in this virtual event. The three-day dialogue is based on the theme Terra Nova, Impassioned, Impatient, Imperiled. There are 6 broad thematic pillars of the dialogue, including rethinking democracy, end of multilateralism, water caucuses, achieving green transitions. The Raisina dialogue will have around 100 sessions with over 210 speakers from 90 countries. The Raisina Dialogue is a multilateral conference committed to addressing the most challenging issues facing the global community. Every year, global leaders in policy, business, media and the civil society are hosted in New Delhi to discuss cooperation on a wide range of pertinent international policy matters. The conference is hosted by the Observer Research Foundation in collaboration with the Ministry of External Affairs. Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav for World News, All India Radio.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted India's contribution in the field of mathematics during Mann Ki Baat program on Sunday. Giving an example of the discovery of zero and its importance, Mr. Modi said that now scientists are discussing theory of everything, where everything in the universe can be assimilated. On one side, India invented zero, while it also explored the idea of infinity. Emphasizing on learning Vedic maths, the Prime Minister said that in Vedas and Indian mathematics counting goes beyond billions and trillions.
गणित तो ऐसा विषय है जिसे लेकर हम भारतीयों को सबसे ज्यादा सहज होना चाहिए। आखिर गणित को लेकर पूरी दुनिया के लिए सबसे ज्यादा शोध और योगदान भारत के लोगों ने ही तो दिया है। शून्य यानी जीरो की खोज और उसके महत्व के बारे में आपने खूब सुना भी होगा। अक्सर आप ये भी सुनते होंगे कि अगर जीरो की खोज न होती तो शायद हम दुनिया की इतनी वैज्ञानिक प्रगति भी न देख पाते।
Mr. Modi also added that small online payments are helping build a big digital economy in India. He stated that digital transactions worth 20,000 crore rupees are being conducted in the country every day. The Prime Minister pointed out that many new startups related to fintech are also coming up in the country.
In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat program. In conversation are Ashok Tandon, a political analyst, and Neelab Srivastav, a journalist.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday addressed the nation as part of the 88th edition of his monthly Mann Ki Baat radio address. This address has been a part of the PM's interaction with the country and the citizens on the last Sunday of every month. All these 88 editions of the address, we have seen that the Prime Minister talks about innovations undertaken by the common man or maybe a student, a professional. Today's address, again, was no exception. In the words of the Prime Minister, and I quote him, it was the subjects that he discussed today was about concerning the past, present and future. So while he talked about the Pradhan Mantri Museum that he himself inaugurated on April 14, the day of Ambedkar Jayanti, the love and fascination of museum, the kind of repository of knowledge that they offer, the Prime Minister also went on to talk about the cashless day, digital transactions, and then water conservation, and also about the fear of mathematics among students and people in general. To begin with, the Prime Minister very recently inaugurated all the country's Prime Ministers at a museum dedicated to them, located in central Delhi. And there are multiple facets to it, some glimpses, as and Prime Minister himself mentioned. Mr. Tandon, please throw some light on what the Prime Minister shared. And one point very important, he said that there are many people who would think that they know so much about everything, but there's still much more to be offered by way of this recently inaugurated museum in the national capital.
Certainly, the 88th episode of Prime Minister Man Ki Baat was with a difference today. And it was basically, if I may say so, Prime Minister took the nation down memory lane through the Prime Minister's Museum. But he himself did not take up this particular subject. He in fact said that after the inauguration of the Prime Minister's Museum on 14th of April, the birth anniversary of B.R. Ambedkar, he has been receiving feedback on the Namo app. And he picked up one of those feedbacks of a young person and who has in his feedback given details of his visit to the museum. Perhaps the Prime Minister picked him up because he apparently was the first person to visit the museum after it was inaugurated. And the Prime Minister said that what can be a better time to remember the contribution of Indian Prime Minister than the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And he said it's a matter of pride for the country that the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is now taking the form of a mass movement. And through it, people's interest in history is increasing a lot. And in such a situation, the Prime Minister's Museum is becoming a center of attraction for the youth, connecting them with the precious heritage of the country. And it was again a big surprise when the Prime Minister invoked a quiz contest kind of a thing. And he said he asked 7 questions from the countrymen, all related to museums. And he said that you can give your reply on the Namo app. And it will be very interesting to note how people know about all the prestigious moments in the country and different parts of the country. So I think it was a different kind of interaction.
You very correctly said, Mr. Tandon, that Prime Minister's stress was on getting into this bandwagon of visiting museums, honoring them and also seeing what they have to offer. And when he says that May 18, one should always try to go and visit at least one museum, he also said, why not hashtag it and say museum memories? The second topic I would go upon, Mr. Tandon, was about the Prime Minister talking about digital economy. He cited an example of 2 young girls who've gone into just tried to take a cashless day kind of an initiative without having any hard cash in their pockets. And the Prime Minister says that he has data to say that there are transactions of about 20,000 crores that are taking place every day digitally in India. So big strides in terms of digital economy, Mr. Tandon?
Yes, certainly. Here again, the Prime Minister did not say anything from his own side. He invoked the experiences of young girls in Delhi and as well as in Ghaziabad. And on the basis of the feedback which these girls have given to him, he invoked the cashless day out. Now, it's a new concept, Prime Minister. Cashless day out means you move around and go roam about the city without spending a single rupee in cash. And he said that it sometimes looks very interesting that someone moves out of his house and without any money transaction. And then he brings in these 2 girls from Delhi, Sagarika and Preksha, and did everything, including, roadside eating and without spending any money. And then he said, no, it's not possible only in big cities like Delhi. Then he goes on to the Anandita Tripathi from Ghaziabad. And Ghaziabad, we all know, is not a metropolitan city. And that she had gone to Northeast with her husband. And there she spent a lot of time from Assam to Meghalaya and Arunachal Pradesh. And there again, and it was a very pleasant surprise to the Prime Minister when this particular couple sent the feedback and said that they could use payments through UPI. Now, this experience shows that the app, the cashless concept of BHIM, UPI, they are rapidly becoming a part of our economy and habit also. So cashless economy through digital system, this was what Prime Minister has been emphasizing practically in every Mann Ki Baat. But this time he in fact, quoted the experience of these young people, the new generation, and he said that 20,000 crore rupees worth of transactions are taking place in our country every day. Last March, UPI transactions reached around rupees 10 lakh crore. So due to this, convenience is also increasing in the country and an atmosphere of honesty is also being created. And that's exactly what the Prime Minister wanted to bring home the point, that many new startups related to fintech are also coming up in the country. And therefore he said he normally tries to share these experiences related to this power of digital payment and startup ecosystem. So he again said that the experiences which people share can become an inspiration to many other countries. And that was the message which he was trying to bring home, as this is exactly what the technology has given to us.
Absolutely. The last point that Prime Minister mentioned, Mr. Tandon, was about the fear of mathematics. Now, he brought into context his very recent address to the students under the Pariksha Pe Charcha, which he annually does with the students. And then he said there is a lot of fear amongst students about the subject of mathematics. Mathematics touches each one's life. And then there he talked about Vedic mathematics. He also talked to an expert of Vedic mathematics, if I'm correct, Mr. Gaurav Tekriwal. So I think that attempt was in an effort that the students should not be fearing this subject, and there are techniques to master this. Incidentally, this is India is a country where zero was discovered and mathematical innovations were done. Mr. Tandon?
Yes, we know that PM has been talking every year on the eve of exams about Pariksha Pe Charcha with students. But this time it was a very different subject. In fact, he literally surprised countrymen about when he talked about Vedic maths. I don't think many people knew about it. But he just didn't mention it. He, in fact, spoke to an exponent of the Vedic maths and he interacted with him. And that interaction itself was very interesting. And it happened to be that the person who has been championing this cause for about 2 decades is someone who has been practicing it, but the Gaurav Tekriwal of Calcutta. And he, in detail, talked about the Vedic maths. And very interesting anecdote. He said when he was trying to compete for the CAT exam, his mother gave him a book written by Swami Shri Bharat Krishna Tirthaji Maharaj. He had written the book and he has given 16 sutras about the Vedic math, and which he has now been trying to explain to the people, to the students, and what exactly Vedic math is all about. Now PM wants everybody to learn about it, and he has floated a forum called Vedic Maths Forum India. Under that organization, he teaches Vedic maths 24 hours a day, and that through the internet. So it was amazing, and that is exactly why the Prime Minister elaborated, went on talking about it. And its Vedic math is 1500% faster than the simple math, and it gives a lot of confidence among the children, and the mind also runs faster. It's amazing. So we have also introduced, he said, yoga with mathematics, so that the children they can calculate even with their eyes closed by the method of Vedic mathematics. It was a great thing which the Prime Minister invoked in his Mann Ki Baat, and he said that many informative topics from museums up to maths, that means this is how he wants people to learn and know about India's culture, heritage, including the heritage of Vedic maths.
Absolutely. And in his conclusion, the Prime Minister did remind the country that the COVID-appropriate behavior is still to be followed. The COVID cases, we have just seen that there is a little spike in the cases. COVID is still around us. Prime Minister's message was to not forget that the COVID-appropriate behavior should be followed. Wear your mask, keep distance, and wash your hands.
We also got the coming festival.
The upcoming festival.
Remind countrymen about the coming festival, which we all should celebrate with great fervor and enthusiasm. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your points. Thank you.
China's capital Beijing has gone on high alert as the situation turned grim following the emergence of clusters of COVID-19, while the epicenter is still the country's financial hub, Shanghai, which reported 39 more deaths due to the virus, the highest in a day so far during the current outbreak since the last month. Beijing City announced 21 new community cases on Sunday, and Shaoyang district, which constitutes the heart of the city and houses all the foreign missions, has asked all residents, including diplomats, to get tested for 3 alternate days starting on Monday. This has caused anxiety among the residents, with reports of a huge surge in online shopping for stockpiling of essential provisions and green vegetables running out of supply. Many online platforms said they have started emergency response for supply. The city government already recommended that people minimize non-essential visits to places with crowds.
Italy reported 70,520 coronavirus cases on Sunday and 143 deaths against 73,212 cases the day before, the health ministry said, while the daily number of deaths fell to 143 from 202. Italy has registered 1,62,609 deaths linked to COVID-19 since its outbreak emerged in February 2020, the second highest toll in Europe after Britain and the 8th highest in the world. The country has reported 16.1 million cases to date. Patients in hospitals with COVID-19, not including those in intensive care, stood at 9,914 on Saturday, down from 10,076 a day earlier.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held a meeting with Foreign Minister of Argentina, Santiago Cafiero, in New Delhi on Sunday. Mr. Cafiero is on his first visit to India. Both ministers discussed expanding bilateral trade and cooperating in agriculture, pharmaceuticals, electronics, e-mobility, defense and atomic energy. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said India will work closely with Argentina in G20 and multilateral forums.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has announced that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin will visit Kyiv on Sunday. Speaking to a press conference in the capital, Mr. Zelensky said they will be expecting, when the security will allow, the President of the United States to come and to talk to us. The White House and the State Department declined to comment on it. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian President has again called for a meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in an effort to put an end to the war. Mr. Zelensky said he is not afraid to meet Mr. Putin if it will lead to a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine.
Russia's state investigative body has said that it was looking into a Russian media report alleging that sabotage experts from Britain's SAS Special Forces have been deployed to western Ukraine. Russia's RIA Novosti news agency quoted a Russian security source saying that about 20 SAS members had been sent to the Lviv region. UK's Special Air Service is an elite military force trained to conduct special operations, surveillance and counter-terrorism. In a statement, the investigative committee said that it would follow up the report that they had been sent in to assist the Ukrainian special services in organizing sabotage on the territory of Ukraine. The British Ministry of Defence had no immediate comment on the Russian investigation. Earlier, Britain said that it sent military trainers to Ukraine earlier this year to instruct local forces in using anti-tank weapons. Meanwhile, the British government said that a week before Russia's military operations, that it had pulled out all troops except those needed to protect its ambassador.
In France, voting is being held to decide whether pro-European Union centrist President Emmanuel Macron keeps his job or is unseated by far-right Eurosceptic Marine Le Pen. 44-year-old Macron topped the first round of the elections on April 10th with 27.8% of votes cast. The pro-European incumbent is aiming to become the first president to win re-election since Jacques Chirac in 2002. Le Pen, who took 23.1% of the first round vote, is making her third run for the presidency. The 53-year-old nationalist leader is hoping to become the first woman to hold the job. If Macron wins, he will become the first sitting president to win a re-election in 20 years. The French presidential election is a direct voting process conducted in two phases. In the first phase, voters whittle down a long list of prospective candidates into two. If a candidate wins over 50% of the votes in the first round, he or she is elected as the president of the country. If not, as was the case this year, the second round of voting is held.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of multiple development initiatives worth over 20,000 crore rupees to speed development in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Addressing all the Gram Sabhas across the country at Palli Panchayat in the Samba district, the Prime Minister said that these projects will enhance Jammu and Kashmir's development.
In Jammu and Kashmir, 3 terrorists affiliated with the proscribed Lashkar-e-Toiba LATA terror outfit were gunned down by security forces at Pahu area of Pulwama district on Sunday evening. Police sources said the gunfight erupted after the joint team of security forces who had laid a cordon and search operation in the area were fired upon by the terrorists. The identity of the slain terrorists is being ascertained.
In Nigeria, at least 80 people were killed following an explosion at an illegal oil refinery in the southern part of the country. The police said that the explosion occurred late Friday at the illegal site in southern Nigeria. National Emergency Management Agency spokesperson Ifeanyi Naji told the media that the toll could rise further. Local media reports also said that more than 100 people were killed in the blast.
In Japan, 10 people found so far from a tour boat missing off the country's northern coast have been confirmed dead. The Coast Guard said this on Sunday. The boat went missing on Saturday with 26 people on board during a cruise off the main northern island of Hokkaido. Authorities were using aircraft and patrol boats, including 7 ships, 3 airplanes and 4 helicopters from the Coast Guard to search for the passengers and crew of Kazu-i after it ran into trouble off the peninsula, which is famous for its wildlife and dramatic coastline.
At least 6 people, including a child, were killed when a boat carrying about 60 migrants sank off the coast of Lebanon. The Lebanese transport minister told the media that 45 people have been rescued from the boat that sank on Saturday near Tripoli. The Public Works and Transport Minister, Ali Hami, told a local broadcaster that the search operation is underway.
India's Deepak Punia won the 86 kg men's freestyle silver medal, while Vicky clinched bronze in 92 kg on the final day of the Asian Wrestling Championships in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia on Sunday. Deepak lost 1-6 to Kazakhstan Azamat Dauletbekov in the summit clash. His lone equalizing point came through the activity clock. This was Deepak's second consecutive silver and 4th continental medal, including 2 bronze. In the 92 kg bronze medal playoff, Vicky beat his Uzbek opponent Aziniaz Sapareniyazov 5-3. India finished its campaign at this edition of the continental event with a total of 1 gold, 5 silver and 11 bronze medals.
In the Indian Premier League, the Lucknow Super Giants have set a victory target of 169 runs before the Mumbai Indians at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. In reply, the Mumbai Indians were 93 for 4 in 14 overs when reports last came in. Earlier, Mumbai won the toss and elected to field first. 5-time champions Mumbai Indians have lost 7 games in a row in this season and are yet to open their account. The Sunrisers Hyderabad thrashed the Royal Challengers Bangalore by 9 wickets, while the Gujarat Titans defeated the Kolkata Knight Riders by 8 runs on Saturday.
In tennis, Andrei Rublev defeated Novak Djokovic 6-2, 6-7, 6-0 to win the Serbia Open for his 3rd title of the season in Belgrade, Serbia on Sunday. The second-seeded Russian player dug deep to stop Djokovic from mounting another comeback as he prevented the top-ranked Serb from claiming his first title of 2022. After this loss, Djokovic now holds a 37-6 record in Serbia, having lifted the trophy at the Serbia Open in 2009 and 2011 and at the Belgrade Open last season. It was Rublev's 3rd tour-level title of the season, and he has now equaled Spaniard Rafael Nadal for the most tour-level titles in 2022, having also clinched crowns in Marseille and Dubai in February.
And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Let us take a look at the press reports on China. The New Delhi headline reads that tall fences go up around apartment complexes as China tightens Shanghai lockdown.
New York Post writes, frustration is boiling over in Shanghai as residents increasingly chafe under weeks of draconian coronavirus lockdowns.
CNN writes that Hong Kong and Shanghai lose their international luster as COVID restrictions bite.
The Straits Times reports that Australia's Defence Minister on Sunday accused China of paying bribes for international deals but refused to say whether corruption played a role in Beijing's newly signed defence pact with the Solomon Islands.
Eurasian Times writes, as China goes on a rampage in the neighborhood, Japan ramps up defences of the remote Yonaguni Island near Taiwan.
And now let's have a look at the press reports on Nepal. According to the Kathmandu Post report, the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal implemented the new Airport Service Charge Regulation 2022, doubling the service charge for domestic passengers and increasing it threefold for international passengers.
The Kathmandu Post writes that National Sports Council has announced that Nepal will participate in 23 events at the 19th Asian Games, set to take place from September 10th to 25th in Hangzhou in China.
Now let's have a look at the press reports on Pakistan. Geo News writes, former Prime Minister and PTI Chairman Imran Khan on Saturday claimed he was right all along, and the National Security Committee's NSC latest statements proves that there was a US conspiracy to remove him from office.
Dawn reports that the US State Department Deputy Spokesperson Jelena Porter has said that the United States welcomed the statement issued by Pakistan's National Security Committee a day ago, wherein it dismissed an impression of a foreign conspiracy to topple the Imran Khan-led government.
And now let's have a look at the press reports on Bangladesh. About 400 cases have been registered in Bangladesh in the last 2 years for expressing views on social media and Facebook. Referring to the research conducted by the Center for Governance Studies, CGS, Pratham Alo reports that over the last 26 months, there have been 568 Facebook-related cases filed under the controversial Digital Security Act DSA in the country, involving 1,175 people.
And the annual development program outlay for the next financial year 2022-23 is going to be 5.58% of the GDP of Bangladesh. It is the lowest annual development program outlay in the last 8 years, reports Business Standard. And before we end, a quick look at the headlines once again. 7th edition of Raisina Dialogue to be inaugurated by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. European Union President Ursula von der Leyen to be the chief guest at the event. Prime Minister Modi highlights India's contribution in the field of mathematics during the Mann Ki Baat program, emphasizes on learning Vedic maths. China's capital, Beijing, goes on high alert after the emergence of clusters of COVID-19. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds talks with his Argentinian counterpart Santiago Cafiero in New Delhi. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to visit the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. In France, voting underway in the presidential runoff. In sports, India's Deepak Punia wins 86 kg men's freestyle silver medal, while Vicky clinches bronze in 92 kg on the final day of the Asian Wrestling Championships in Ulaanbaatar. And in the Indian Premier League, Lucknow Super Giants set a victory target of 169 runs before Mumbai Indians at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai.
And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnavajan by artists from Sri Lanka.
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे पर दुखे उपकार करे कोई मन अभिमान नाने रे.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.
ये आकाशवाणी है। अब आप अरुण कुमार से समाचार सुनिए।